Hello there, Jets fans, and welcome to episode number 74 of the JetStream podcast. I'm Travis Rubinik, and I'm back, boys. Today is May 3rd. Here at Joe Clark, Neil Noonan. I get the feeling you guys didn't miss me that much.
We did all right without you, I think. I think we did okay.
We managed.
Yeah.
We got through it. We did.
Yeah. I learned something when I watched the episode.
What's that?
I was going to save it for my thing I learned this week, but it was that you guys might not need me as much as I think you do.
Well,
so
there you go. Better watch your spot there, you know? You never know what could happen.
Might be more easily replaceable than I thought.
There you go.
Yeah. So I'm back. Got back this morning. I'm on about 3.5, 4 hours sleep right now. So bear with me for this episode.
That's when the magic happens.
Yeah,
though.
exactly.
Yeah.
Come on.
I'm going to say a lot of ridiculous things, and it'll
Some
be
of our best episodes. Trav's on drugs and whatever.
Yeah, Trav's on drugs. That was a good one.
That's why Lauren Cordain of Saturday Night Live, he still wants to do it live every single time because the best creative jokes and the hilarity happens when everyone's sleep deprived.
Oh, yeah.
So
yeah.
this could be a fun episode.
No, it should be. It should be. We're going to do a lot of Jets review today. We're going to go through a bunch of different areas of hockey: forwards, defense, goaltending, and GM, coach. Talk about all them. Give them a grade. I honestly haven't really been in much touch with hockey, to be completely honest. I lost most of my wife or data roaming privileges about 12 hours after the landing because I went to the Sens game and just went ham. Which I'll talk about in a second about how it's very, very different in Ottawa, that certain aspects. So I haven't been too much in depth with what's going on in the hockey world. I know that Montreal's losing in their series, which is great.
Mm-hmm.
I know that Alex Ovechkin is a monster, which is great.
Yep.
I learned that from you guys as well. You guys talked about that quite a bit last week. It was a pretty interesting conversation topic.
Thanks, Trav. Yeah.
No, it was good. I enjoyed it. But yeah, we'll get to that in a few minutes. First thing I want to talk about today, a little bit because I want to talk about my trip. A little bit because it was one of the first things that really stuck out to me. I don't know how many listeners of the podcast. Oh, by the way, shout out to Andrew Campbell, who I met in Ottawa at the previously mentioned Sens game, at Victory4201 on Twitter. I met him at the Sens game that I did attend and bought a jersey at. So
Awesome.
bucket list thing, had to get out of the way, bought a Curtis Lazar jersey. Wanted to do it just because it's something I'm going to do. The one that's really going to suck is when I do get to Montreal to see a Habs game and I have to purchase a Habs jersey just because I know I say have to. I don't have to, but
just get a Subban one. You'll be fine.
That's what I'm thinking. Probably Subban.
It won't hurt.
It'll still sting.
Yeah, maybe a bit.
It's kind of gross, but
It's kind of gross.
Anyways,
That one goes in the back of the closet.
yeah, back of the closet. It's just there. It is a slick-ish jersey. It makes me vomit a little bit. But the Sens one, honestly, I love this Sens
It's a
jersey.
good vomit.
It looks really good. Yeah, the Habs, it's a good vomit. It's a good, like, just cleansing vomit.
Yeah.
Just get all that nastiness out of me. The environment outside of the Canadian Tire Center in Ottawa, or Canada, I guess, suburb of Ottawa.
Yeah.
For those of you who've never been to Ottawa or gone to a Sens game, City Ottawa is one place. Their arena is far, far away from there. You do have to get on a highway and trek yourself out there. And it's basically, I'd gone to a game when I was in grade 9, and I remembered it just being a big empty parking lot and a big field. Canada apparently has grown. I talked to a few people there. It has grown a lot since I was in grade 9, which I would hope that any suburb or city or town would keep going.
It's been a while.
So there is a bit more around, and there's obviously a lot more housing and whatnot around, but it is still basically a huge parking lot, which is cool because it does open up to a lot of tailgating. A lot of people definitely showed up early and were drinking before because there was a lot of near fist. Man, the Habs and Sens fan bases freaking hate each other. I knew they didn't like each other, but I easily 5 or 6 near fist fights.
Perfect.
They were very often randomly broken up by someone yelling "Leafs suck."
That's also perfect.
Was like, what?
Hey, why not? You know, if you can unite in hatred, that's one of the things that bring people together. You know, liking the same
enemy
things.
of my enemy is my friend.
Exactly. Liking the same things and hating the same things are two of the things that bring people together the most.
Yeah. So yeah, that often calmed everything down, which is why I deliberately did not bring a single Leaf thing at all. Like, this is the first Leaf anything I've worn.
As soon as you got home, you're just like, I need to.
Seriously, the first shirt, I had like a little bit of a few clothes that I hadn't brought with me, and I was just like, all right, you know what?
I need a Leafs shirt. I need a Leafs shirt.
It's been too long. I need to refresh. I had Ottawa things on me. I just needed to cleanse.
You need to replenish your Leafs.
Yeah. I need to get that back. But yeah, it's more than just the tailgating out there, though. They had face painting, which I know you guys saw. Yes. Took a picture of.
Travis
set up.
Took part in the face painting.
I wanted to get into it. Most anti-Habs I could get.
Yep.
I wanted to be.
That's fair.
They had. I don't know if you guys remember when they had the first Jets game at the Forks. They had that whole thing set up with a Molson beer garden. They had a huge beer garden set up with a huge screen displaying at the time it was the Wild and Blues were playing. Mm-hmm. So they had that up on the big screen. They had Canadian Tire, obviously big sponsor. They had one of those like concealed areas with like a fan underneath it to blow money around, like those old game shows you I guess you
just
see.
Go in and grab money. Or
yeah,
what?
except for it was Canadian Tire money, obviously. Yeah. So it was a bunch of people just getting really jacked up.
Sorry, what? In a concealed area with fans. Canadian Tire money just getting jacked up.
Oh, that's awful.
No.
There are a bunch of people getting super excited, collecting like 1 and 2 cent Canadian Tire money coupons.
I could have taken a
Cents fans, what are you doing down there?
Yeah. It's a very different place. This
it's always a happy ending when you go to an Ottawa Senators game.
Holy mackerel.
Anyways, they also had kid areas. Where you could like jump on a bouncy thingy and shoot pucks and a bunch of stuff. Anyways, it was a great environment outside the building is where I'm getting at with this. Oh my.
Wow.
Okay. Sens fans taking it a step further than anyone would have ever guessed.
Just taking us to the next level.
But yeah, it was cool, and just the mere size of the building compared to the MTS Center, because I had been in the building before. Again, I was younger. I guess you just get used to the MTS Center, sort of, and then you go to a bigger arena, and you're like, holy crap.
This is what a big arena looks like.
Yeah, this is what they're talking about here. With their like standing seats and everything, and they had like 2 different, actually they had 3 levels of suites, like one at the top of the 100s, one above the 200s, and one above the 300s. It was crazy. A lot of people crammed into that building. It was a really cool atmosphere. But yeah,
lots of booing when the Habs came out.
Yeah, lots of booing when the Habs came out. A lot of booing and a lot. Sorry, Jets fans, you lose the "ref you suck" chant to win that goal that should have counted, didn't count. That building was chanting bullshit and "ref you suck" and booing consistent, like good 10 minutes straight.
That's solid. That's dedication.
It was insane. They have a cool little. I don't know if you've ever been, anybody who's listened, ever been to a TFC game or anything like that, where they have a designated section of just crazy rowdy fans that don't sit down. They're like 2 sections over from us. They're banging their drums and had chants and all that stuff. And they love Pajot. Love that guy.
Oh, really? That's
they love him.
I mean, I've done nothing against him, but that's just kind of random.
I can get it because he's that whole pesky Sens thing. He like perfectly encapsulates it because he's a small little guy who's always in there, and he was the one who actually scored the goal that should have counted.
Oh, so they went nuts.
So they lost their minds. But yeah, it was really cool, and I was happy to meet Andrew, and yeah, it was sweet. Other thing I really learned from the entire trip is, man, does Quebec City need to get their team back? The second anybody learned I was from Winnipeg, it was right to, we got the Jets back. What was that like? That must have been awesome, and except for much more French accenty than that.
Don't try.
Yeah, I'm not going to. It was funny. Any time we'd go anywhere, I've learned very quickly that it's better to say hello in French to them and ask them if they speak English first, but most of the time, by the time you just say bonjour, they're like, yeah, he's English.
Yeah, it's pretty obvious.
And it was instant transitions. So
bonjour.
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 Yeah, it was
just so obvious.
There was a couple people that I definitely fooled, and I was like, yes, goodbye. But for the most part, it was like, as long as you ask them, do you speak English in French? Then they're like, oh yeah, thank you for asking, and they're very gracious. But yeah.
How do you say, do you speak English in French?
I don't know if it's actually say it, but I said parlez-vous anglais?
Okay.
That's
Bonjour, parlez-vous anglais? And then they'd be like, yes, I do. And I don't know if that's actually how you say it, but it worked. So
they're just like, this guy's an idiot.
A fucking moron, but I'll go with it anyways. Yeah. But yeah, it was great. Happy to be back, though. Happy to see your lovely faces again, boys. AKA, you're fucked. So let's talk about a team that does exist and is not in the playoffs. Well, anymore. Yeah. The Winnipeg Jets. Season's obviously over.
It's been a while now. In case you were over it, we're going to go back.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it a little bit more. Yeah. We're going to talk about how good they were. So let's start with the forwards.
Sure.
Get right into this here. If you had to give, I asked you to give, so I hope you gave.
Yeah.
The forwards an overall grade.
No, I absolutely refuse.
Well, you're a bit of a dick then.
Yeah, no kidding.
What would you give them as the forward unit as a grade this year?
Forward unit, I'm going to give them a B. Would you like me to specify my reasons why?
Yes, please.
All right, I will do that.
This
for
is
you.
a podcast. We need to talk.
No, I give him a B. That's it. It's done. Yeah, I gave him a B. And there's a lot of changes that went through the forward group this year. I mean, especially after the trade deadline. We basically saw two completely different supporting casts around that core of Ladd, Little, Wheeler. You know, you can consider Frolik in there as well.
Yeah.
We saw them have two completely different support groups come around them at different points in the year. After the trade deadline, you have Stafford and Stempniak and Talusti coming in, obviously playing fairly big roles. I mean, Stafford especially with the points that he put up. But I mean, Perreault, amazing. Unfortunately, he had injury problems, but I mean, he's somebody who I want to see be a Jet for as long as we can possibly keep him, because he's just the hands and everything unreal. Little being an underrated hero once again.
Yeah.
One of the better, I think probably the best fancy stat guys on the Jets.
I think his playoffs is kind of getting him, or just especially that one. Was it Game 3? Was kind of his coming out party as stop calling me underrated.
Yeah, I mean he's been doing it for so long now that he shouldn't be underrated anymore. He should be rated quite higher. I mean, Ladd.
He shouldn't be underrated. He should just be rated.
He should just be rated now. I mean, come
please.
on. Yeah,
please just rate him.
Ladd, pretty horrible penalty differential, but still led the team in points. So go with that.
Which I always just find weird.
Yeah, it's strange to me, but
you'd think at least Wheeler would be ahead of him, but
yeah, he was close. Well, he was only like a point or two away. But Wheels, he had one of his best goal scoring years, so props to him for that. I think it was his second best goal scoring year. Yeah, I think that it was fairly positive overall, so that's why I gave him a B. I want to go with. The only reason I didn't go with giving them an A is because you're only as strong as your weakest link, and that fourth line is.
That's fair. I went with an A-. So I agreed with a lot of your points for the positives. Well, Brian Little, Andrew Ladd, Matthew Perreault, Blake Wheeler, Michael Frolik. Hopefully he can come back. I think the aspects where you include the additions is what got them to that A for me.
Sure, yeah.
If they would have sat where they were at the start of the year, I think they were screwed. Like things like removing Byfuglien from that forward unit bumped it up a little bit for me, which again adds a little bit more into the rating of Paul Maurice in the long term
and management too.
But the big story of the year again to me is Adam Lowry and how he kind of came in and gave them a solid third line option, and it gave them something to build around with their moves. And I think the fact they made the playoffs kind of helped it a little bit, because it helped justify a lot of the moves that were made. And yeah, we probably going to end up losing a decent number of them. You heard in a lot of the exit interviews that there's already ploys and guys trying to make sure Stafford stays, and a lot of these guys, and it sounds like a lot of them want to stay. I don't think it's the best option to keep them all. But yeah, Slater playing up was a bit of a problem. I think him as a whole is a problem. He could be gone though, so he was, I think, preventing them from being scored any higher in my opinion. Until that trade deadline, Thorburn was playing high way too often, and I get that's not his fault, but he cannot be more than a fourth liner.
Yeah.
I think once you added Talusti to that fourth line, it made them a bit more of a thing.
It did make them a bit of a thing.
But before that, he was getting moved up a little bit. Goal scoring was, I think, literally smack dab. The goals for was smack dab in the middle of the league this year. Yeah. So I don't want to get too much into special teams for my evaluation. It is important, but so many, like Perreault going back and playing D kind of helped a little bit there. They started off rough, but they kind of did turn around. Stafford was a big point. Like you said, it was pretty much a story of two different forwards groups.
Yeah.
And I think if that second forward group was there at the beginning and played all the way through, they're getting at least a straight up A for me, if not more.
I'd say so for myself as well.
But I think how well that group came together to get the Jets in the playoffs, and the way they were put together, and the way they ended up looking at the end of the year is what got them into an A- for me. The forward group was the hardest decision for me, whether it was going to be an A- or a B+.
Yeah.
I went with an A- just because I liked how things were going. Again, Ladd and Little, like you said, underrated guys playing extremely tough minutes and doing it very well. Scheifele had a decent year. I think losing Kane overall is going to hurt them, but they've rebounded well from it. They survived a lot of injuries to some key guys. Yep. They didn't have Brian Little throughout a long part of their biggest stretch of the year.
Perreault's injured multiple times.
Exactly, and they kept fighting through it, which I think really did bump them up for me. And again, this is just this year, and things could end up a lot worse next year if the right moves aren't made.
Yeah.
I think you can get rid of Peluso. That's fine. I think you get rid of Slater and really improve this unit. Adding Andrew Kopp is going to be a big improvement for them going forward. So, I think things like I had problems with them at the beginning of the year, but again, removing Byfuglien from that group makes them instantly look okay. Once you add in Lowry, add in the players they traded for, again, Stafford, Toulouse, and Stepniak, it just makes things look better. And I think that was a big part as to why we were so wrong, or at least I was so wrong by predictions at the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Was I wasn't expecting them to make these moves. I was hoping Lowry would be the player he did become. I was expecting Scheifele to take a bit more of a step back. I think people really forget how many posts that guy did hit at the beginning of the year. If like half of those go in, the guy is getting talked a lot more about as a solid goal scorer. And the what ifs, ands, and buts, it's a whole other story. But I think he had a good year, in my opinion. He played tough minutes and he didn't suffer. Too much.
And I mean, even in junior, he wasn't necessarily a prolific goal scorer.
No, exactly.
He's always been a playmaking kind of guy. So, I mean, I don't ever expect to see him have more than the 30 goal year because I mean that's just not who he is.
No, he was a decent puck distributor in junior, and he's got some skating issues which can be fixed.
I was just gonna ask, how many times do you think he fell this year?
You need to do that.
I have to do it regardless of how the first few games go. Scheifele fall count
for sure.
Do you think it was one a game?
Oh, for sure.
It has to be at least 20
If you looked closely, he was falling.
He's like
out at least once a game.
He's like gotta be like at a 1.2, 1.3 falls.
He's at least one fall per game.
FPG.
Yeah.
I'll never forget. I still have it all written down. We went to Smitty's to plan this podcast like 2 years ago or whatever it was. And one of the things like we thought of wasn't me obviously, but you guys like let's count how many times Scheifele falls.
Yeah, that sounds about right.
Yep.
I've been thinking about it for a while. I just never did it.
It was
I need to get one of those little clickers.
Yeah. One.
All got it. Yeah, just for that one every Jets game, just to click it once.
I could think off the top of my head at least 4 or 5 vines alone of just him falling in ridiculous fashion. So, I think the big step forward for the forward unit this year, though, is definitely that they've gone from a team that needs a third and a fourth line to be competitive to a team that just needs to take a step forward with their fourth line. Honestly, I could see Thorburn being a serviceable fourth liner if he's only used fourth liner and not the guy who's always in the lineup.
Yeah.
It's Slater that's a huge problem to me and that other winger. So take your steps. Hope again, this can all come tumbling down in one off season, but
we'll see how it goes. There's a
little bit of optimism right now.
I
guess a little for the general populace it's great optimism, but for me there's a little bit of optimism right now with things going forward. Joe, what grade are you going to give the defensive group of the Winnipeg Jets?
I'm going to go with a B again. Here's my reason. Ton of injuries, obviously, in January. And that kind of makes it, I don't want to say hard to give them a solid grade, but I mean, if you're seeing so many changes like that, it makes it a little bit more difficult to say, okay, this group of guys was this good. But I mean, they did well through those injuries. I mean, you had a guy who's one of your top minute defensemen in Byfuglien, and he was traded for Myers, who instantly stepped into the same role, and I think did a little bit better. The pairs changed around a lot. I mean, Enstrom is with Myers for that after the trade deadline, and that was kind of one of the only sure things. Everything else was moved around with Byfuglien got suspended near the end of the year, and there was injuries as well. So the pairs changed. I mean, Stewart is somebody who is an issue to me. He had one of the worst penalty differentials in the league, and fails to contribute.
For a guy that everyone loves, and is.
And I mean, you know what? You can, and like I said, Andrew Ladd had one of the worst penalty differentials in the league as well, but he contributes offensively, and Mark Stewart does not. So I mean, you can, and we'll talk about this when it comes to the coaching side of things. But I mean, the Jets are a team that take a lot of penalties, and so. Yeah, if you're the team that takes the most penalties, you're going to have some of the worst penalty differential guys in the league. That's going to happen. But, I mean, you got to have something else there to make up for it, which is, goal-scoring points.
Yeah, I
agree. Mark Stewart does not do any of those things. So, yeah, that's an issue. But, I mean, having Byfuglien back on that D-line for hopefully forever is a great thing. And Enstrom is Enstrom. I mean, it's great. I know there's an article that just came out. Was it today or yesterday? In the Sun.
That was the first thing I saw when I stepped off the plane this morning. I was like, Jesus fuck.
Yeah, and apparently Jets fans want to get rid of Enstrom, which is something I've heard before, just, conversations I've overheard at the gym and at work and everything. I've heard those talks where people say he's just too small, and I'm just like, too small for what? For being an NHL defenseman? He's doing it.
Yeah.
So your argument is
and he's doing it well.
Yeah,
so
and your argument is invalid. Like, if you were gonna say he's too small to be an NHL defenseman, then why is he in the league and doing a great job?
Yeah.
So I mean,
I don't fully get.
I give them a B, just because they maybe weren't amazing, but they did struggle through a lot and still managed to freaking make the playoffs, and they allowed less goals than they scored. So that's usually a pretty good sign.
Yeah. I went with an A, actually. I was, again, pretty lenient. And a big part, you mentioned this, the injury aspect of it. Listen, I understand that goals against isn't the biggest thing in the world. But when you consider the fact that the Jets lost, 5 of their top 6 defensemen throughout the year, most of which happened all at the same time.
All in January at some point.
And they still finished 9th in the league for goals against this year. To me,
that says something.
Pretty impressive. That's right behind Nashville, teams like LA. They stayed one of the best Corsi 4 percentage teams in the league without a defensive group.
Yeah.
A unit that we were sure was going to be a huge just dive bomb for this team.
They were borderline as bad as, when it comes to defensive injuries, they were borderline as bad as Columbus was at one point in terms of their defense.
Yeah.
Like, I think Columbus was missing 5 of their top 6 defensemen at one point, and they suffered from it. I mean, they also had a ton of other injuries, so you can't just put those beside each other. But that being said, I mean,
goaltending is a huge part of it as well, and they lost their big guy, and ours came out of nowhere.
Yeah, but I mean, you lose 5 of your top 6, so you got to expect that there's gonna be bad things happening, and for the Jets, somehow they managed to stay away from it.
Yeah, guys like Ben Sherratt coming in again, unexpected. Again, the reason we were so wrong, Byfuglien was moved back to defense, unexpected positive change.
Yeah.
Ben Sherratt ended up being a lot more than what people expected. Unexpected, positive change.
Yeah.
Jay Harrison, not a huge move, but it was at least somewhat serviceable.
Yeah.
Unexpected, positive addition, I guess you could say. Nothing huge.
Positive Band-Aid.
Jacob Trouba alone had pulled Mark Stewart's season out of the shithole this year. And that is an incredible feat, considering how much of a drag Stewart's been on everybody else. Trouba doing what he was able to do again. Hoped for, but you have to still say unexpected. You can't expect Trouba's second year in the league to do something like he did this year. He's got a great future ahead of him. Tyler Myers coming in again. I think it's still a good balance. I think we're still unsure of what Tyler Myers is. He played some tough minutes with Toby, and I think we still have to see if he's going to be better than Bogosian. I think he's got the pieces. He's a big guy, but I think that's still kind of left unknown for right now. But yeah, I just thought they did too well to not give them an A, especially when you factor in the injuries. And again, Paul Maurice is a big part of that. But having Dustin Byfuglien back, adding Ben Sherratt, who ended up being great, they're just too good of pieces for me to not give them good grades. And it's something that I'm happy that I was wrong about. And I agree. I think Mark Stewart's a big drag down. I think they should be actively looking for a replacement for him. They don't have to buy him out or get rid of him. He's only got a couple years left. He can be a 6th guy in and out of the lineup. Hopefully Grant Clitson can come back healthy. He's shown great strides in the past. Yeah. Again, back injuries.
The worst.
He could come back and be completely useless.
Yeah.
So you really don't know. You can't expect him to be back in the same sort of steps. Josh Morrissey's coming up maybe next year. You're not really sure where he'll be playing. But I think, again, there's reasons for cautious optimism with the defensive unit. And it's a nice thing to see. And I think this year they took some big steps forward. I think you saw some good pieces. So I ended up with an A. But 2 big pieces we've talked about and 2 big men we've talked about in this defensive group is Tyler Myers and Dustin Byfuglien. And a couple weeks ago, I meant to bring this up in the last podcast I was here for, but we didn't really have time. I don't think that was asked. We might have, and I might have just be completely forgetting it. And if I've already asked this question, then feel free to laugh at me and tell me I'm stupid.
We don't know.
I really can't remember to tell you the truth.
We'll find out right away. Maybe I'll remember when you ask it.
Dustin Byfuglien or Tyler Myers? This is a question asked on Reddit by somebody, and I thought it was pretty interesting. If you can only keep one of them going into next year, who do you keep?
I keep Dustin Byfuglien.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it's the devil you know and devil you don't kind of thing situation. I mean, I have half. We have half of a season or trade deadline to the end of the season and 4 games of playoffs of Tyler Myers
with the Jets. Yeah. Otherwise,
and then well, I mean, yeah, what you look at in Buffalo makes you think that you're like, wow, this guy's terrible. But I mean, we know what Byfuglien can do, and I'm happy to have that anytime. So I would have to go with Byfuglien over Myers.
See, I think this comes down to, again, the debate you had as well as the age issue starting to peer its head in. Because Byfuglien's the kind of defenseman that when he starts to slide, I don't think it's going to be a Winnipeg Street kind of slide. I think it's going to be a Quebec City straight down kind of street when he slides. And I don't think it's coming soon or next year, for example, but I think it's coming in the next couple years, and I think it's going to be pretty rough. Whereas Myers, yeah, we don't really know much about him. He hasn't necessarily been a great player, but I think he still has room to grow.
Oh, yeah.
And I think he's the kind of guy that can be at least be serviceable and for a longer period of time than what Dustin Byfuglien is going to be able to offer you. The greatness that can be Dustin Byfuglien next year, I think almost is equaled out by how long and Myers can at least be decent.
But I mean, you can find a decent defenseman, right? You don't have to choose between Byfuglien and Myers. You know what I'm saying? So like it's they're not really comparable players. So it's a weird question to ask.
See, I honestly think if you had to get rid of one at the end of this year, I almost want to say Buff. Just because I think you factor in what you could get back, considering he has a year left on his contract.
Oh, you could get decent return for Byfuglien for sure.
It's tough because I would like to have having them both. It's great. I'm very happy they're both here.
Yeah.
But there's a very big draw for me to say Myers there. I love Dustin Byfuglien. He's one of the reasons they got the grade they get. Both the forwards and the defense. But I think there's a good argument for saying Myers in that situation as well. The next position. The position that I think shocked everybody the most. In net. What rating do you give the goaltending of the Winnipeg Jets this year, Joe?
I gave the goaltending a B+.
You were tough, man. You were tough.
I was just
not easy to please, man.
Travis is being generous.
Pavs and Hutch did exactly what we needed them to do. They maintained a league average, and that's all we needed them to get.
Hey, Pav was above league average, man.
Well, slightly. But this is what we needed. We needed them to be league average. They were there and above for the majority of the season, and I mean that's what got into the playoffs. I mean, 3 back-to-back shutouts or back-to-back shutouts at the end of the year to qualify for the playoffs. That's unprecedented, but I'm not really gonna necessarily factor that in because there's a lot of stuff that goes into that, luck-wise and just overall play. But they did exactly what they needed to do to get the Jets into the playoffs, and I mean, going into the season, goaltending was always going to be the reason they didn't make the playoffs if they didn't. And they made the playoffs, and goaltending was the reason they did. So the only thing stopping me from giving them an A would be that they were just good enough, not amazing. Right?
Fair enough, but I reserve A+ for amazing.
Oh, sorry.
I gave him an A. And I just think when Pavlik goes out and has a 920 year, for him that is exceptional.
That's true. Yeah. If you're comparing him to himself, but
overall for the league, he was above league average, and that's what you needed. Do I think it's repeatable? No. Will I be shocked if he does this again? Yes. Do I think the Jets should do anything crazy because he did this well? Not at all. There's a lot of concern, I guess, as to what the Jets' decision making is going to be like with this, with how he played, because it was very good. I don't know. I think he just deserves an A. Hutch was there when he needed to be. I think, again, a lot of this plays into coaching and the decision making Paul Maurice had with how they played and when they were moved around and things like that. But Pavelec was exactly what they needed him to be, and he met the goals, and he surpassed what you were expecting. So I gave him an A. I gave the goaltending as a whole an A. As a pair, I think they were like a 9.17 or something like that, which is good. So I think it was a positive step for Hutch because he got into the league, showed that he has times he can be good. I'm still not sold on him. And I think over his career, he'll end up being a better goaltender than Pavelec has been and will be. But Pavelec was what I asked for.
Yep. Can't complain.
I can't complain about this year. I can't. I cannot say it. I could still say I have issues with the way he plays. I have very serious issues in the sustainability of his success.
Yeah.
But if I'm looking at just this year as a microcosm of everything, then he was good.
Yep.
So he gets an A for me. One thing that the Steve Dangle podcast brought up again, I don't think I brought this up before, but I want to say it now. He was talking about the St. Louis Blues, and I think this is what I mentioned when you're saying, I want you to say out loud, Brian Elliott, Stanley Cup champion.
Oh, yeah, I remember hearing this on the Steve Dangle podcast.
And it doesn't really sound right.
Neither does Andre Pavelec Stanley Cup champion.
Saying exactly, can you picture Andre Pavelec as the goaltender for a Stanley Cup champion team?
No. But, I mean, how many goalies before they win a Stanley Cup are you really that confident in saying, oh, yeah, that guy is a goaltender for a Stanley Cup championship
But shouldn't that be kind of the level you set for your goaltending? Not saying this guy's good enough for us now. Like, I think if you don't have that guy, you shouldn't be anointing anything to any goalie. Unless, like, Henrik Lundqvist, who ironically enough hasn't won a cup.
Yeah.
Carey Price, who hasn't won a cup. Maybe Bobrovsky, who doesn't have a cup. Right? Yes. Okay. Wow. Yeah, like, I don't know where else you can really go with it. Sorry, this is a complete sidetrack. When I was watching one of the games earlier, or it was a TSN thing or something like that, they were talking about just these great goaltenders, or they're talking about goaltending parity in the league now, and how there were so many backups that came through, and he was like, they're talking about there are some goalies who are definite starters and guys who can get their team to Stanley Cup every year, and they started listing them off, like Carey Price, Henrik Lundqvist, and they dropped Marc-Andre Fleury, and I was like, what?
Wow.
Where did that come from? But I think he's a perfect example of a guy who really, like, yeah, you could say Marc-Andre Fleury Stanley Cup champion, but it's more because he's a Pittsburgh Penguin.
Yeah.
And same thing with Jonathan Quick. Like, before maybe, he's had some great runs, and I think moving the Conn Smythe, it helps explain that. But they're just some guys that straight up you can't picture it. And I think Andre Pavelec's one of those guys. And I'm not saying Michael Hutchinson's that guy right now, but he's had 1 year. Connor Hellebuyck's having a heck of a time right now. Could he be that guy? I don't know. It's impossible to guess. Goalies are voodoo.
Yeah.
But for the most part, there are only a few guys you can say it makes sense for him to win a Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
It's not fair that Carey Price is a shit team in front of him. It's not fair at all. I wish he had better I wish he was on a different team.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
He could play for the Jets. That'd be fine.
Exactly. But that's the kind of guy you see and say, okay, that is a guy I could see as a Stanley Cup champion goaltender. Yeah. And until you have that, you got to keep looking. You can't keep having this
not
good
sure.
enough.
Not
for
sure.
This. We're naming him our guy.
For now.
Like, why are you naming him that guy if you cannot picture him? And maybe they do, which would be weird. But if most people can't picture him as a Stanley Cup winning goaltender, his job cannot be that secure.
Yeah.
It's not that secure for a forward. Guys get bumped up and down lineup all the time.
Well, I mean, and we've said this ever since Pavelec was named. During last offseason, they named him as the go-to guy.
Yeah.
And, I mean, well, it shows clearly that they're not necessarily going to stand by their word when it comes to that, because Hutch took the job for however many months at a time. But the fact that those words get even said is ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. One other thing I kind of want to bring up, and I can't remember who asked this question. I'm sorry if you did. It was a while ago. Do you think there's a chance of Pavelec getting moved? Or if there was ever a time it was going to happen, would this not be the perfect moment to move him?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, in terms of what his value is in the league, yes, this would be the perfect time. I would be absolutely amazed if it happened.
I seriously doubt it will.
Absolutely, like 100%. I would like.
We would convene and have an Insta podcast.
No, I mean,
happen.
And I mean, not even out of being happy that he's gone, just out of what? what?
How?
Because then, how can you? And then how can you even trust anything that True North says ever, or Chevy says ever? Because they just declared him as their guy, like, for the foreseeable future, and then all of a sudden he's gone.
Yeah.
So I mean, I don't see it happening. Yes, his value is the highest it's ever been in the NHL. I don't think you can question that.
Yeah.
But I mean, anybody's value is going to be high after back-to-back shutouts.
Oh, exactly. But honestly, though, like, if you were just looking at it from an asset management,
yes, absolutely,
like, stock market
straight
kind of
business
view,
approach, yes,
business
absolutely.
approach, we want to get the most of our assets, and that's
Yes.
how we're going to be successful. Right now,
would be the time.
Palik's peaking the most he's ever peaked,
yes.
and it's gonna come back.
But apparently, the Jets think that the smart business move here is that they don't see him reaching it. They don't see that he's reached his ceiling. They think he's got more to offer, so they're going to stick with him, and they think they're lucky because of that, or at least that's what they say.
Yeah.
So, I don't think that's ever going to happen in the near 3-4 years or whatever. His contract's got 4 years left, right? 3 years left, something like that.
2 or 3.
Yeah. So, anyways,
Actually, I have this open.
it's not happening anytime soon. I think he's going to live out that contract here, and then whatever happens from there, I'm not sure.
He's got 2 years left.
Yeah, so we're seeing him for another 2 years for sure.
Yeah, probably.
Would there be a team that even wants him?
Right now,
I'm sure
Edmonton.
I'm sure you could talk some teams into it, and some
course.
teams you wouldn't even need to talk into it.
One good year can get a goalie a lot.
Absolutely.
So, look at Andrew Hammond. The guy's had one good 2-month span.
Yeah.
And he's probably going to get an NHL contract next year because of it. So, goalies are voodoo, man.
At least as a backup or something. He's gonna
Someone will make an argument
Yeah.
that, oh, I see this in his game.
Mm-hmm.
This is why he should be a goalie.
Yeah.
And no one can predict them. It's just shenanigans. Yeah, it's just something interesting to think about is a different perspective, and I thought it was pretty interesting. So I wouldn't be against it, but right now is that kind of moment in his career where he's either going to do what Apple keeps doing and somehow they keep getting bigger and bigger and reinventing things, or they're going to do the BlackBerry thing and just we've hit our peak. The final good bold has finally come out, and now the rest of it is going to be crap. We're going to try to keep reinventing ourselves by making the occasional amazing glove save, and we'll have our man Dennis Bayak promoting it as far as we possibly can.
Of course,
but everyone outside of the hub of RIM, aka Winnipeg, sees the collapsing shithole that is on our product, and it's up to us to see it. Moving on. To the guy who I think had the most profound and largest impact on the Winnipeg Jets this season. What grade do you give Paul Maurice? It's got to be an A+, right?
I gave him an A, yeah.
Just an A? Not giving him that plus?
A+, you win the freaking Stanley Cup, you get an A+. How about that?
Okay, that's fair. Well, now I just feel like an idiot for giving him an A+.
Yeah.
No, I'm giving him an A+.
Do whatever you want, Travis.
Go ahead.
I
will, Joe. Thank you.
Yes. All right. You're welcome. I gave an A. I mean, it's safe to say that every coach has that honeymoon period right after they get brought on, after a coach gets fired or whatever it is. That and there's numbers to prove it that teams usually play better once in the first 15, 20 games after their coach gets fired and a new one comes in. And I mean, Pomo has survived that stretch of people being in love with him, and everybody, as far as I can tell, still loves him, including myself. I think he's done a great job. They finished the regular season 14th in the league in points. It's just above center. And considering they're playing in the toughest division in the league, I'll take that any day. Mm-hmm. I think that special teams is something that has a lot to do with coaching. I know it's something we've talked about in the past.
Yeah, definitely brought that up before.
Where I'm trying to think, every team has good players. It's got to be the coaching that's the difference when it comes to the power play and the penalty kill. And I think they did a pretty good job. The penalty kill is operating at 81% to finish the regular season, which is not bad, taking into consideration the number of friggin' penalties they took. I think I have it written down here.
Which can, too, be tied back to coaching a little bit.
It's just, I have that as well. He has to shoulder some of the blame for that, and he does, which I respect that. He did come out and say, this is how I want us to play, and we're going to take penalties. But, I mean, they're the only team other than the Columbus Blue Jackets who were just a gong show to break 300 minutes shorthanded in the league. Everybody else was below that. So, I mean, that's...
I thought Pittsburgh was up there.
They're up there, but they're not over 300.
Wow.
So, it's literally, there's Winnipeg, Columbus, and Columbus has less. Winnipeg has the most. So... it's pretty bad. I mean, there's got to be a way that you can play the way that the Jets want to play and not take as many penalties.
Yeah.
I don't know what that way is. I have faith that Paul Maurice can figure it out and hopefully implement it, because he's proven to me up at this point that he can make some stuff happen. But yeah, I mean, he's made changes when they need to be made. He's not scared to run with the hot goalie, which I think helped the Jets this year. And he makes the line change-ups when they need to be made. And pretty much every adjustment he's made to the team I've agreed with. And I mean, that doesn't necessarily mean that that I know what I'm talking about or whatever, or that means he's good because he agrees with me. But it makes me like him even more, that when I think something should be changed, it's like, a couple days later, oh, there it is. And you're like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
So what I'm thinking does make sense. That's nice. And usually it has a positive impact. So I love Paul Maurice. I'd like to see him stay for a while, and he's great guy, being interviewed as well. Very well spoken. And yeah,
seems to have his players back.
Yeah, and he defends his players.
Byfuglien, a good example. Kane, another good example.
I think the players respect him as well. I think it's just a good fit, honestly. So I'm a big Pomo fan. So I give him an A. Because as much as I do just like him, the product was there too. So
yeah, it's a great point. And you used a word in there that I think really sums up how I feel about Paul Maurice, and that's the word faith. And even when he was making moves that I didn't necessarily agree with, and to this point now, I have faith in what he's saying and what he's doing and the decisions he makes, because for the most part, they've worked out this far. And whether that's dumb luck or whatever it is, who knows? A lot of the time when a coach just brings a team out of nowhere, they have a goaltender who is like far beyond what Varlamov last year is a perfect example, where it's just amazing all year, and he didn't necessarily have that. He had a lot of adversity in net to deal with.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't always agree with the moves he's making necessarily, and I'm not ready to jump on him like I did with Claude Noel, because Claude Noel's nothing he did worked, and it just seemed ridiculous and rushed and pointless and not very well understood. Whereas at least with Paul Maurice, you can somewhat see what's going on, and when it works out, you can kind of understand why it worked out. It wasn't just, oh, okay, well, he got lucky once. Like, you get why things happen the way they do, and yeah, I don't like the fact that he put Thorburn too high in the lineup here or there. But the fact that he was smart enough to move Buff back, like he said, and keep him there. And he was okay with going back to Pavelec despite what everybody said. Or he went to Hutch and he rode Hutch a little bit, and he didn't make it this big deal like the media tried to do. And the way he kept adjusting his forward lines, so they kept being able to produce offense while playing solid defensively. And he ended up, again, pushing Ladd and Little like we were hoping, more into those tough minutes. And Wheeler into those tough, well, I guess they played a bit easier this year, but they did play difficult at times when they needed to. And I think he struggled a little bit in the playoffs with adjusting as quick as he needed to. But he did make the adjustments, and I think he understands Pavelic's downfalls a little bit better than other coaches have, or at least Claude Noel did, and it seems like the organization does. And I think he's a guy who's not afraid to give the kids a shot, which is a nice change. An issue that is killing Montreal right now and could have helped them be a lot better team than they currently are, is playing the kids and giving them a shot. And guys like putting faith in a guy like Adam Lowry. And I'll never forget his explanation of how he could see in Adam Lowry the way he handled himself and the way he looked guys in the eye and wasn't afraid to get in scrums. And he looks for those things to help cue him when guys are feeling comfortable, when he can play them a little bit more and stuff like that. And I have faith in him.
Yeah, me too.
And I think he made great decisions, and it's nice to have faith in him. And he helped lead the team through some insane situations, losing all of his D-men, forward injuries after that, and got them into the playoffs. And that was the ultimate goal, and he did it. And he too, just like the rest of the team, has to take a step forward next year. I know I'm giving him an A+, and it's impossible to get better than that, but keep doing what you're doing, and I'll be pleased.
Yeah.
So I think it'll eventually lead to good things, and I'm happy Paul Maurice is the coach of the Winnipeg Jets.
Absolutely, same here.
And I don't feel like there's a lot of fans in the league that can be happy with who they're 100% just pleased with that this guy is our coach.
Yeah.
And Paul Maurice has that with me right now, so it's nice. It's a nice feeling.
It is a good feeling, honestly. Like you said, faith. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah. As a fan of a team that just got swept,
it's nice to have faith.
It's nice to sit there and be like, I don't think this was a fluke.
Yep.
I think bigger and better things are to come from this. And again, it can go one of two ways. We aren't sure how that's going to go yet, and it's up to the decision of the next guy we're going to give a grade to. Kevin Cheveldayoff. What's your grade on him for this season?
For this season, I gave him a B+. He made first ever like blockbuster trades. The whole Kane, Myers, all the prospects that came along with it. It's the first year he pretty much did anything. So, I mean, other than just prospects and moving little things around and waiver wire pickups and whatever. Right. Other than the little stuff, this is the first year he's really made a splash. So I don't know if that's just him getting comfortable or what, or if this is the first time he felt like he needed to. But, you know, he did what he needed to do this year. Just asterisk.
Yeah.
He did what he needed to do this time. So I'm just gonna end it there. That's my reason. That's my reason why I gave him a B+, because he did what he needed to do, got it done. They're in the playoffs, great. I'm obviously worried about what's gonna happen in the offseason. Worried maybe is the wrong word. I'm anxious.
That's a good. I like that.
Happen anxious in the offseason. UFAs and RFAs, all that stuff coming up. I'm curious to see what happens. I'm not gonna let that affect my grade of him right now because it hasn't happened yet.
Yeah.
So we'll wait and see. But for now, B+. Good job.
Yeah, I like the word anxious because he showed me this year that he can do the right things, but he's also shown me this year that he can do really dumb things. Because I'm going all the way back to pretty much July 1st of last year for my entire capsulation. That was his
calendar year,
full year of Kevin Cheveldayoff's decisions, and for that reason, I'm with you. I gave him a B+. We agree on this one. First things first, like you brought up the big trade, the Evander Kane situation. I think he handled the situation.
He handled it.
He got what I think is going to be good return. It turned out great this year. Yeah. People are very happy with it this year. But again, you cannot decide that trade until you see how these prospects turn out, how those picks turn out, and what Evander Kane does in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Because I think that's going to... Him playing on a top line somewhere, getting offensive push, and seeing what he can finally do is how you're going to really see what's going on. Obviously, it's a different situation, but you can really see how things played out with Evander Kane and who he ends up becoming.
Yeah.
He who, by the way, was at the boxing match last night.
Of course he was.
That guy's been all over Instagram lately, by the way. Like, he has, like, multiple posts daily lately. It's insane. It's like he just, like, fuck it, I don't have to deal with the media anymore. I'm having fun with this.
Feeling himself, man.
A little bit. Anyways, he got great return for now. And the final ranking, we'll figure that out in the future.
Yeah.
It'll be one of those things, 3 or 4 years, maybe we can look back and say, okay, Jets did great, or probably could have come out a little bit better there. My issue with it, and it has been my issue since the start, since we found out officially that Kane did ask for a trade previously, is he waited that long for it, and he let it get to that point. To me, that's a bit of a problem. A bit of a, how long does Chevy let these things boil? Is there something else going on we don't know about in that room?
Or maybe he was trying the whole time and
he
couldn't have put something together. I don't know.
Yeah, but the fact that it let it get to that point does dock him marks in my book, does knock him down a bit. Back up, a positive point for him is he did take action at trade deadline. He helped the team get in the playoffs. He added some again, Stafford was a big piece. Toulouse helped that fourth line a lot. He helped a lot along the way. And again, big offseason coming up, and that'll be a huge change in how I feel about him next year.
Yeah.
But he did add, again, Jay Harrison. It's a minor addition, but it did help. It helped make things a little bit better. He brought in Matthew Perreault, but he also gave Thorburn his extension. So he still hasn't done anything with Frolik, who looks like he could end up walking away from the team, and that's another potential knock against him.
That's a hit, yeah.
I feel like a B+ is a good range because it's still a positive. A B+ is not a bad thing, but it definitely could have gone better, and I think there's some things that could have been avoided that made the team worse. So see how it plays out. I think we've talked a lot about our potential offseason moves and what we think could happen or what might happen. We've talked a lot about before. We're going to have a lot of time to talk about it coming up, so we'll leave that for right now. That Winnipeg Sun poll is freaking ridiculous, people. I don't know why. Somebody tweeted this out and it made complete sense about it. RB tweeted out sometime this afternoon. I'm reminded about this question I asked a few days ago for some reason, .. hashtag get rid of Enstrom, and he quoted himself or put that new way to do it on Twitter thing, where he said, I wonder how many of the Toby Enstrom bashers are willing to criticize Chevy for handing him his current deal. which is interesting to think about. All these people are loving Chevy right now, but hate Enstrom for some reason, which they shouldn't. Complete with a full no trade clause.
Yeah.
So he's not going anywhere, guys.
No, he's not.
And then Robert Cleve at RMCLEAVE responded, I just read that something. Toby and Tater's gone, Stafford and Pavs in. Tells you all you need to know.
Yeah. That's rough.
Couple hot streaks near the end of the year. Love guys.
Yeah. But if you're consistently good, then that's just not good enough.
No. Never good enough.
Small sample sizes, man.
It's frustrating, but whatever. I'm glad a lot of those people do not run. I'm glad people from the Sun do not run this team.
Yeah, no kidding.
But yeah, I've missed these segments a little bit, guys, and I'm so excited. There hasn't been a shootout in a long time, and I'm excited to participate in my own.
All right, let's do it.
I finally get to talk.
Yeah, you've been quiet over there.
I'm letting you guys do your thing. Plus, we missed you, Trav. Let you get on the airwaves a little bit here.
Yeah.
But this I'm excited for. 2-2 now.
Yep.
Breaking the tiebreaker. All right.
Gets me every time.
All right, boys. It's been reported Alex Burmistrov plans to return to the NHL next season after 2 years playing in the KHL. Guys, what's something you gave a good shot but ultimately decided wasn't for you?
Go for it.
Multiple things. I'm going to go with soccer on this one. I've tried it a couple times. Joe's seen it as recently as 3 weeks ago. I am the most awkward person to ever kick a soccer ball. I just can't do it.
I'm trying to imagine it now.
It's fantastic.
Because I'm so big
It's
and I have
everything-
so many limbs that are long.
It's everything you can imagine.
And
more.
off balance, things going the wrong way. I jam my foot in the ground. It's just awful. I'm trying so hard to be able to do it again. But when I was a kid, I was just like, none of this. And that was that.
For me, it's got to be musical instruments. I remember in junior high school, I played alto saxophone, and I got kind of decent. I got kind of decent actually. I could read music, I could play it. I was okay. But then it just got to a certain point where I was just like, I just don't like this. This is horrible. And then I just put it away and never touched it again. Now I have absolutely zero musical inclination ever.
Alto sax, that's sweet.
That's it, man. That was my alto sax was my thing.
Learned something this week. All right, question number 2. After a meeting last week between Winnipeg's mayor Brian Bowman and Jets owner Mark Chipman, the $400 million True North Square development seems to be back on track.
Thank God.
Yeah, guys, what's the one store or restaurant True North Square needs to have?
It's got to have a Smokes Poutineery.
Oh, that was quick.
Oh, there's one so close.
Whatever, shut that one down. Or move it. Just move it.
Just move it?
Just move it. It's got to have
Just move it over there? Man. Frick, that's a good question.
Yeah.
Honestly, this is going to sound kind of ridiculous, but a real sports bar and grill. There's one in Ottawa. There's one in Toronto. Fantastic sports bars. Just great places to watch games. Screens everywhere. It would be a great place to watch a hockey game. They can live feed things in. They can get... I feel like I've heard before that in Toronto they have Andy Frost, who's the in-arena voice, speak in Real Sports when he talk. That might be a complete lie. I don't know, but if they could pull that off, that'd be sweet. I just think Real Sports would be really cool.
I didn't know it was a chain. I thought it was only in Toronto.
Yeah, I thought it was only in Toronto too, but I saw one in Ottawa, so...
Okay, how about Beaver Tail Stand? Can we agree on that?
That's a good one too.
Yeah, we need a Beaver Tail Stand.
That'd be good too. If you want to go Winnipeg and local, Stella's.
Oh,
Yeah, that's true.
Stella's everywhere. All right, guys, last one, and exciting. A major announcement between the Jets and the AHL is set for tomorrow morning, Monday morning, if you guys are listening to this. So right now, and we all know what that means. So, guys, it's now or never. What's your final choice for the name of our AHL team coming back?
It's Manitoba Moose.
Manitoba Moose?
I'm sticking with it.
Yeah. I gotta go with the Winnipeg Falcons. I gotta
knew
go
you
with
were
the
gonna say
history.
that.
I wanted that team
It
name
would be great,
so bad, and I think you just play so many things off of it. It's connected to the military thing,
Yep.
and it just works. And I think you just play in the whole flying thing both ways really nicely. And I think you can play a nice the shoulder patch the Jets have. I think you can turn that into some sort of falcon or eagle perfectly.
Oh, yeah,
similar
for sure,
to the
yeah.
New Orleans logo.
Yeah.
In a way.
Yeah.
I think you can play that perfectly. So. Winnipeg Falcons.
Great timing, too.
I can't wait. I honestly can't wait for this
I'm so
announcement.
excited.
I'm so pumped. I'm so pumped for lunch tomorrow so
Oh,
I
yeah.
can look at what everything is.
Yeah,
it's
so
gonna be
for
awesome.
those listening now, I'm sure it's already happened.
Yeah.
So we'll see
I
tomorrow.
hope I was right.
I was right, for sure.
This was a really tough one because Travis playing soccer is hilarious. I think the real sports bar and grill would be amazing. But shout out to Beaver Tails.
Oh, I knew that was going to get me. I knew Beaver Tails was going to get me some points.
We were talking about it a bit off air beforehand, but I'm craving a Beaver Tail.
Me
now,
too.
man.
Now that's all I want.
That apple cinnamon flavor.
Oh man, don't even get me started.
So good.
I can go all day about Beaver Tails.
Joe's gonna take the shootout this week.
Yes.
Well, I think that was the closest one yet, though. So you get a B plus.
Damn it. The Joe rating scale.
Yep.
Off of Joe's thing that he kind of gave up on, that he like, you wish you could play music now, right? Like,
yeah, kind of.
I think right now, just because I just came from Quebec, I'm the same way of speaking French, because it would be so handy just to be able to go there and talk to people, and it's a really just changing thing when you go somewhere and you can't talk to anyone without knowing there's going to be a barrier. And I felt so bad for people that come to Winnipeg and just instantly you're like, oh, I can't speak English. Like, come on, man. Because, it sucks being on the other side.
Yeah,
like,
it's brutal.
And honestly, I was really worried about it because I'd heard that in certain areas of Quebec, it's really, like, they have none of it if you don't speak French. They're just like, man, just get out of my face.
But you're in touristy areas, so I'm sure they're used to it.
Oh, yeah, but we did venture into the city a little bit just because there was a liquor store and a grocery store over there, so we wanted to get some food and stuff like that for the hotel. And people as a whole were so nice about it, and they were just like, no, I don't really speak English either, but here's someone that kind of over here. And they were just so kind about it, and it was cool. It was cool. It's really awesome. Need the Nordiques back. Speaking of teams coming back.
Yeah.
God. Joe, it's a great team of the week.
Oh, I didn't.
Damn it, Joe!
Ladies. What? Ladies. I don't. This is the playoffs.
Yeah, fair enough. If you had to name one
it's
right
awkward. Now. There's like 3 teams. There's 4. Like, there's nobody left.
That's fair.
It's kind of lame.
That's fair. Can we give it to like the Quebec Nordiques? Just
sure, I'll give it to the Quebec Nordiques for not existing.
For a team that needs to come back. Actually, you know what?
Bro.
Scrap that. You know what's going to be?
What?
The unnamed team that is coming back to Winnipeg.
There you go, yes. The AHL franchise. No, they're the Manitoba Moose, for sure. I'm going to sound like such an idiot tomorrow if it's not the Manitoba Moose. Everybody's listening to this and I'm so cocky.
Are you going to do you have a Moose t-shirt or something?
I have a Moose jersey.
You wear it underneath your work uniform tomorrow, and then when they get named, just rip it off.
Yeah. All my coworkers would be like, what is wrong with this guy?
What if it's something just totally out of
random?
left field?
I don't know.
You know what?
I honestly, I'll just be happy no matter what.
Yeah.
I'm just glad the AHL is coming back.
You can figure out how we're going to take it.
They could be called like the Unicorns. Like, I don't care. Like,
the Winnipeg fuck Joe Clarks.
Yeah, exactly. And I would be totally fine with that.
Yeah, that'd be hilarious. Welcoming back the Winnipeg fuck Joe Clarks.
And I'd be like, yeah, fuck that guy.
He's the worst.
Yeah.
Okay, did you learn something this week? Or
I did, yes.
Okay, what did you learn this week?
This week I learned that Jets goalie prospect Connor Hellebuck making a name for himself on the international stage.
I swear you were going to say internet, and I was so excited for him doing something.
News? What? No, he got the
Chevy now. Helly.
Oh my goodness. He got the first star or player of the game or whatever they call it in the ice hockey championships that are going on right now in the Czech Republic for the USA. He made 22 saves against the Norwegians, and that makes it 51 of 53 saves in the first opening 2 games for Team USA. So doing pretty well over there. Congratulations to Connor, and we look forward to seeing you in the future.
Sweet. Neil?
I didn't learn anything, man. Maybe
Really?
I can find something.
All right.
I apologize.
No, it's all good.
I worked really hard on the shootout.
I kind of half learned that you kind of already know what I learned. Apparently, you guys don't need me.
Nope, not at all.
Which is, I think,
that was yours.
that's a really important thing for me to learn, is that you guys really don't need me, so I have to really step up my game to make sure you know that I am a valued member.
That's not true, though, because there's no way I'm going to be watching as much hockey as you ever.
That's true.
I
was spitballing if people didn't realize.
You did well, Neil. You played it off well. You played off a hockey fan really well, because most of them have no idea what
Yeah, exactly.
I also did learn how much Habs fans and Sens fans actually hate each other. Like, that blew my mind. I figured there was going to be a rivalry there, but they fucking hate each other, man. Like, it got vicious. And you can throw people from Quebec City into that Habs hating bandwagon. Man, everyone hates Montreal.
Even
Boston, Toronto.
Even in Quebec, they hate Montreal.
Huh?
Unless you're in Montreal.
I bet you there's people in Montreal that
Yeah,
hate
probably.
Montreal. And apparently a huge population of stupid people from Winnipeg. Stop being Habs fans. It's a bad life choice.
Just stop it.
Whoops, I didn't mean to do that. I don't know why.
Neil, I'm the tired one here.
I meant to get your attention by doing this.
Listen to me.
I almost went to tap because I remember what I wanted to talk about, what I did learn this week. Are you done?
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Okay, I'm sure a lot of people have listened, not maybe everybody, but I learned how sensitive the world is now, because I don't know if you guys saw, there was a tweet that was sent out by the Houston Rockets.
Oh, I saw that.
I didn't see it.
I'll tweet it out on the the JetStream account, but it was basically, they were playing the Dallas Mavericks. Mavericks, horses, whatever. And they were about to finish them in a series. There's about 5 minutes left in the game. And the social media manager of the Houston Rockets Twitter account sent out a tweet with a horse, a handgun right next to it, and a little sentence saying like, shh, be quiet, it's
It'll be
almost
over
over.
soon or
It'll be
something.
over soon kind of thing,
Okay.
right?
Actually, I did see that, and I had no idea what it was referring to.
Yeah, so they were about to beat the Mavericks, and their season was over,
Oh,
basically.
that makes sense now. I saw that tweet, and I was like, what is that? Like, somebody's killing a horse? Like,
The
what?
man who tweeted that got fired the next day.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's crazy.
When I saw that immediately, I was like, whoa, that's tiptoeing the line.
Yeah.
But to lose a job over it,
Yeah, that's crazy.
I don't, maybe getting suspended for the playoffs or something, or just, don't tweet for a while, man. Like, that was like tiptoeing the line or whatever it is. But my goodness, they apologized, they took it off right away, kind of thing. And in a world, a new social media world of all these sports teams trying to have fun, that's what happens to horses. They get put down all the goddamn time, and it's just, we're all so sensitive that that can't be explained in emojis.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I saw that too, and I was kind of like, man, it shocked me that someone lost their job over that.
Yes.
I mean, I guess if your job is to be in charge of the Twitter
Yeah,
account,
it's true. You should
then
know.
you should probably know.
Yeah.
But in my opinion, for him to lose his job, it makes me think there had to have been something else that went on before. He's been warned before. He's done something else before. I
hope
don't know the whole story.
Yeah.
I'd hope so, because
That's pretty aggressive.
Yikes.
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, no, I'm with you there. It was surprised. I mean, he was walking the line in a way, but yeah, I didn't see that as a fireable offense, I guess you could
Exactly.
say in
I think that's the
sports
biggest
terms.
thing. I understand the deleting, the apology, and maybe like a suspension for the dude or
Oh,
whatever.
exactly.
But like this is he's got his livelihood. Like,
Yeah.
hopefully he can stand up on his feet and find a new job. But that was a pretty public mistake, I guess.
Yeah, and not to make this a really deep social thing here, but the fact that a guy lost his job for that, yet it took multiple protests to get 6 cops who severed a guy's spine charged. It's a bit of an issue there.
Yeah, there's some backwards things going on in the world nowadays.
Yeah, that. I get the whole court of public appeal and stuff like that, but like, seriously, it took that much when there was that much evidence. That's all I'm going to say on it. Can we spell some things?
Let's do it.
It's the SPELLINGB. Gotta remember I before E. Except after C.
Except after never.
Yeah, except with names. That's the biggest thing.
Yep. All right. So, as I said when I was talking about Connor Hellebuck, there is the World Ice Hockey Championships going on right now, which is the international competitions always provide excellent names. So I went with one that's actually somebody you've heard of before. He's an NHLer, but it's a little bit of a tricky one. As Neil likes to call him, it's a hard, easy one or easy, hard one. What would you say? What'd you say about
I don't
Hansbrough?
know, Hansbrough, like it
Easy,
should
tough
be
one. Yeah.
easy, but it's tough because
Yeah.
it makes you think
Yeah.
that it's too
So
easy.
this is kind of like that. So here we go. The name I want you to spell today is forward for the Buffalo Sabres.
Evander Kane.
But he is not Merkin or Canadian. He is Slovakian. And his name is Andrei Mazaros.
Oh shit. That kind of sounds like a Game of Thrones character.
A little bit, yeah. The Mazaros for sure, yeah.
Mazaros.
Andrei
From Thor.
Mazaros.
I need to catch up on Game of Thrones.
God, I can't wait for the episode tonight.
And Silicon Valley. I gotta catch up on that.
That the second season's been phenomenal.
I love that.
Oh
I have
my
no
goodness.
idea what that is.
It's so good. It's
HBO
on
language.
it's HBO like 30-minute comedy about these guys who created
A
originally
compression
created an app,
yeah.
but now it's a compression thing,
okay.
and it's hilarious. It's on after Game of Thrones. It is so funny.
What's
Probably.
the name again?
Andre Mazzaros.
On.
I think he used to play for the Habs, right?
He's been around. I think he's played for five different teams, 4 or 5 different teams. I can't remember.
Oh, right here, Andre Andrei.
Andrei.
Mazzaros Muzaros.
Okay.
You weren't that far off, Neil.
Travis, what do you got?
Let's see
I
what you
think
got.
I know this one.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope you're wrong.
Andrej
Okay.
Meszaros.
Oh, nailed it.
God
Nicely
damn
done.
it.
I thought I might have gotten you on the Andre one because it's
Yeah.
an A instead of an O.
I honestly, the only reason I remember that is because a lot of the time my computer, for some reason, always autocorrects Andre Pavlik Andre
To
into the
Andre.
A one.
Yeah. Maybe that one's more common. Anyways,
Guess so. So I was like,
that
I'm
is
gonna go with that
the
one.
correct spelling. Andrej. Mazzaros is Meszaros. Currently, like I said, of the Buffalo Sabres, but he actually just vaulted his Slovakian national team to a win over the Belarusians at the World Ice Hockey Championships taking place right now. It was a little overtime winner, and he had the game tying goal as well, or the first goal. He had a 2-goal game. One of them was the OT winner.
What a beast.
Just a little snipe. You can actually catch. There's a little vine of it up that's fairly popular because it was just a nice little snipe. It came inside and just the Belarusian goalie was like doing a Pavlik thing where he was like way down before the guy even shot, and he just roofed it. It was a beauty. So
Speaking of snipes, did you see that Alex Ovechkin goal yesterday?
yeah, that was ridiculous.
Cool.
Yeah,
How's
did you see
Canada
that,
doing at the
Neil?
World Junior
No.
Cup?
You have to see that goal. You need
We'll
to
show
find
you
it.
after the
Yeah,
show.
we'll show you it. It's just ridiculous. And if anybody was watching the Erie Otters versus Sioux Greyhounds game yesterday, which I caught a decent amount of, great game. Connor McDavid with like 4 or 5 points. He's got, I don't want to misquote it, but he's got like 50-some points in like 20 playoff games or something. Which is stupid.
Ehlers lit it
Has
up
he
with us,
publicly
too.
like said anything about the Oilers besides like?
He'll go there.
Yeah,
He'll report. He's a good Canadian kid, right?
What if he
Okay.
actually turns it all around and all of these bums that have drafted before him just finally live up to their potential?
Their first round picks haven't been the problem in Edmonton.
No.
It's everybody else around them because they're great. Taylor Hall's a very underrated player.
Nugent Hopkins is amazing.
Yep. Eberle's a good player. It's that, again, name another player on that team.
Yeah.
You can't. They're all bums. So, like, Yakupov is okay for where he's been. Taylor Hall.
Yakupov's had a tough go.
Yeah. Like, their first round picks have been fine.
Mm-hmm.
It's they can't build a team around them, which is astounding. So,
Yeah.
that's been their big issue.
And then I'm sure they're all up for like contract extensions relatively soon. Like
Coming-
Taylor Hall, must
I
be.
think a
Or did
couple of
he
them just
get
signed.
Eberle,
Hall
I
and
think,
Eberle, I
yeah.
think, just signed contract extensions, so
Oh, okay.
they'll be there for a while. So,
There are some deals to be made with Edmonton from somebody in the league somewhere. There's
they
gotta
have to
be-
get defensemen.
Yeah, they need to get players to play other positions other than
And
forward.
they finally made executive changes, so
So we'll see. There's got to be stuff going on.
Yeah.
Peter Chiarelli or whatever, he's got to do something.
yeah. Maybe he'll trade Tyler for Phil Kessel. That'll be hilarious.
Oh my god,
I hope he doesn't.
Oh
I
my
really
that
God.
would be amazing.
You gotta go on YouTube to
I
see
didn't
Joe's
even get
reaction to
that.
that.
That didn't like it wasn't even in my mind. You just
Oh my
said that, and I
God.
was like, oh yes, right now, make that happen.
Can I ask you one question, Joe?
Sure.
How's Canada doing at the World Championships? I have literally no
They
idea.
are doing quite well. They beat Germany 10-0 today.
God.
Yeah.
Sorry, Germany.
Yeah.
Wow.
I think Hall had a Hattie. There's a
Are they
couple
undefeated
other-
still?
Yeah, I believe they're still.
I'm always
undefeated.
iffy with
Yes,
Mike
they're
Smith.
undefeated. Martin Jones, backup goalie for the Kings, being doing good, big things. Mike Smith
Big
played.
things.
Mike Smith played their first game for them, and he got shut out. Anyways, they're undefeated still. They're doing well.
Perfect. I've missed you guys. I've missed the segments, but I've missed our closing music the most. So let's hear it, Neil.
Absolutely. We went all the way through this closing music. You didn't listen to the end of it.
No, I didn't
We
listen
made
to
it
it.
all the way through the closing
Yeah.
music. in our last
We
one.
had a lot of things to say.
Yeah.
What were you talking
I
about?
have no idea.
What did we? There was a conversation we ended up having.
Yeah.
I forget, whatever.
We got off on a tangent.
You know what? I'm proud of you guys. You handled it well.
Yeah.
I'm back. Hopefully you don't lose a bunch of listeners because I'm now back.
It was the pizza thing.
What?
It was the pizza thing. How many pieces of pizza can you eat for
Oh, yeah.
$100,000?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
that question. Who did
Yeah,
I ask
yeah,
us?
yeah,
You
yeah.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're like, if you need something to talk about this.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Yes.
no faith in us. He's
Oh,
talking
I
about
forgot about that. No, because I wanted to hear. Okay, I have to go back and listen to the rest of the episode because I wanted to
It's
hear
just
your
this part
responses
right
to
here.
that.
It's the very end that we talk about.
Okay, I'll go to that part and listen to it because I wanted to hear what you said. Because that's a great question.
It is.
Um,
And it makes
alright.
me kind of hungry.
obviously, I didn't eat that much pizza on the road actually. It was a couple
Cool
seconds.
story, bro.
Yeah. If you want to get a hold of us on Twitter, it's @JetStreamPod, #JetStream. Check out the website, www.jetstreampodcast.com. Email us, jetstreampodcast@gmail.com. Get a hold of me on Twitter. I will tweet more now that I am back in a place where I can freely access the internet. @THRUBENIUK. Joe @JW_Clark20 and Neil @Neil Noonan. And subscribe, rate us on iTunes if you're listening to us on another platform. We greatly appreciate it, especially if you're watching us on YouTube. Go check it out on iTunes, subscribe, rate. Always greatly appreciated. It helps us out a lot. Check out ArcticGuysHockey.com as well. We're slowly going to start having some season review stuff coming out there. This is my addition to the season review things, I guess. And I guess Joe and Neil's as well, which is fantastic. You can find all the links for all the ways you can access our wonderful content on that wonderful website. I'm looking forward to tomorrow morning. I want to know what this AHL
I
team's
can't
going to be
wait.
called. I want a reason to waste more money on hockey
Yes,
things.
I need to buy season tickets
Yes, exactly.
and
So,
gear.
enjoy it, everybody. We're out.